So here I am once again with wet hair. Hello, just got out of the shower. My baby is sleeping, and it's time for me to make a video. So today I want to talk about insurance. So insurance and infertility don't always go hand in hand. We are very blessed that we were able to have some coverage, some IVF coverage through my husband's insurance, and that actually delayed us for a year when we found that out because I worked at a hospital and I thought, oh my God, we're going to have the best medical coverage. And we come to find out because I worked for a Catholic hospital, they did not believe in IVF and therefore did not cover it or birth control or anything like that. So because it was a religious entity, they, according to their beliefs, did not support IVF. So, yeah. So I found that out like right after we switched over to my insurance, which was such a huge blow because we had to wait an entire year to start trying IVF, and then we had another delay. I'll go into the whole shebang to get to my first baby some other time. I really have to write it all down because it was such a long journey and there were so many things that went wrong and push the days back. And yeah, so that's a story for another time. But for right now, I want to talk about insurance. I am such a crazy person. I shouldn't say crazy, but honestly, that's how I feel sometimes. I'm extremely persistent. I have no problem calling and waiting on the phone for a very long time to talk to somebody to get things done. Sometimes I feel like that's the only way to get things done is to be persistent and to be patient and, be nice. Even though it's extremely, extremely hard when you've said your name 5 times and you've gone through all the prompts and then they ask you the exact same questions over again. And you're like, why do I even do this with the computer if you're just going to ask me the same questions? And then the computer doesn't understand you, and then they route you to the wrong place, and you get transferred like 5 times, and you get hung up on, disconnected, whatever it is. All these things have happened to me multiple times talking to insurance companies, and it's extremely frustrating. Sometimes you want to cry because it's so frustrating, but you just have to persevere and push through and remember your goal. And the goal is beautiful baby. So it's a very good one. And so, even though with IVF, my IVF clinic will give you a rundown of your benefits through your insurance. That's a benefit that they do to support you. But I would always, 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 when you're looking into IVF, call your insurance company and ask questions. And it's kind of hard when you first start out because you don't know the questions to ask, right? You don't know the process. You don't know all the random things that can come up. And if you don't know what questions to ask, they're just going to give you, general broad strokes. And so, with IVF, it's so difficult because a lot of it is hurry up and wait. And sometimes you need to know the answer right away, and insurance just doesn't work that way. It's so long and drawn out, and the turnaround is often slow. So it's really hard to deal with. First and foremost, call your insurance company, ask them what your IVF benefits are, and if there's something that you don't understand, ask for clarification. If they say if your provider writes out the TCB, then it will be approved. Don't assume that your doctor is going to know what the acronyms are that the insurance company uses, because they won't know. I've learned that. And then you have to go back and forth. So make sure that when you are taking notes with the IVF or with the insurance company, that you can understand everything so that you are able to explain it to your provider, to the IVF clinic, because they don't know. They don't know everything. Like, all the insurance rules are different with different companies. They change all the time. You really have to be an advocate for yourself. And it sucks because you're already going through so much. You're going through infertility. You're going through all these tests and procedures and this and that. The emotional turmoil, of going, trying to have a baby and not being able to. It's a lot. But it's the only way that you're going to be able to be successful and not come up with a really big surprise bill. So we're really lucky that our insurance company covered IVF. There were certain things that they still didn't cover, but some coverage is better than no coverage, obviously. And that was really important for us because we're not rich. We're not poor by any means, of course. Um, Everything is on a perspective of what level you are, and like I know that I'm truly blessed, and like I have a great life and a lot better than a lot of other people, and I'm just lucky. It's not that I do try to work hard and I do try to make the right choices, but sometimes people will just find themselves in circumstances that they can't control, and that's just not fair, and that's part of life. But yeah, so we do okay, but we still like to save money where we can, and so call the insurance, know what they cover, and if you don't understand something that they said, ask for clarification. Even if they have to go back and ask for clarification, you know, and before this, I would say just watch videos and try to understand the concept of IVF and what steps need to be taken. And if you have questions, you can ask the insurance company, like, oh, I had a question about like egg retrievals, and what do you cover with an egg retrieval? And if you see something on a video, like freezing embryos, ask the insurance company, do you freeze? Do you cover freezing the embryos? Do you cover embryo banking? Like, is that allowed? How many egg retrievals can I have in a year? How many transfers can I have in a year? Things like that, because they're all different. They all have different regulations. Like, do they cover PGA testing? If they do cover it, or if they don't cover it, are there any exceptions? What would qualify as an exception or an exemption from the rule, kind of thing. So, stuff like that. I should write down a bunch of questions actually to ask the IVF, to ask the insurance companies. That would be good to add to this video. I'll have to make a list and then add it. And so I just did this because we switched IVF companies. We switched insurances during the new year. It wasn't a choice, like my husband's work switched insurance. So it changed. And it really changed our plan. Like, insurance will change your plan depending on their coverage, and it should. You should try. Well, you always have to figure out what your family financially can do, and then make a decision on that. Sometimes you don't have that burden. You can do whatever you want, and money's not an issue. Sometimes finances are the biggest issue. So you really have to figure it out. And with the insurance companies, make sure you block off a big amount of time to call them, because it takes forever. I'm always on the phone with them for at least an hour when I call and have a question. It takes forever. You have to go through all the prompts, and then you have to talk to a person, and they're usually not the right person. They have to go look it up, and it takes just forever. And then you always have follow-up questions on the answer that they gave you. So the whole process kind of starts over again. But let me look through my notes. So here I have, our IVF coverage. So for an example, the IVF coverage that we used to have did not have a limit on how many egg retrievals or how many transfers that you could do, but they didn't allow embryo banking. So embryo banking is whenever you try to bank embryos or try to get as many embryos as you feel comfortable with before you start transferring. Of course, because you want to create embryos now. Like, whenever you think, like, okay, I'm doing IVF, like, that is the time to get all the embryos that you think that you're going to need, because you're never as young as you are today, and that's a really big factor, especially for women, men too, but especially for women with their egg quality. So the older we get, the less quality eggs that we make, or well, we don't make the eggs; they're stored there. But since birth and since conception, but as we grow old, the quality of the eggs do decrease, and that's why you find as you get older, women are more at risk for miscarriage or having like an aneuploid embryo, things like that. So you really want to do it now as soon as possible. And so with embryo banking, they say, statistically, 2 to 3 PGTA tested embryos per live birth. So that's the statistics. So usually people like conservatively want to bank 3 PGTA normal embryos per child. So if you want 3 kids, you're going to need 9 embryos, right? And that's just the average. So for us, it took us 4 transfers to get a live birth. So we were a little bit outside that average, but not by much. So you just never know what's going to happen. Some people, 1 transfer and they have a baby, they do again. Another transfer, baby. You never really know what you're going to get. Even if you are not doing IVF for infertility, because there's lots of different reasons to need to do IVF. So if you have like social infertility, so if 2 women who are in a relationship want to have a baby, they have social infertility, they can't make a baby without sperm. So they still might take them 2 or 3 transfers to have a baby. Just IVF doesn't guarantee a baby. IVF might get you there quicker, but people kind of misunderstand IVF and think, oh, this is like a guaranteed baby right away. That's not always the case. Everybody's different, and you might find something in the process of IVF that you didn't know was there. You might find an issue that you didn't know was there that you have to overcome. That happens all the time. IVF is not only IVF isn't only something to get to a baby. It also is diagnostic in a lot of ways, because the IVF process, you can find out a lot of information about your fertility or infertility, depending. So with our insurance that we have now, there is a max of 4, they call it like visits, but really it's 4 egg retrievals and transfers. So they consider an egg retrieval and a transfer 1. But if you just do an egg retrieval and then you do another egg retrieval, that's 2, right? So they can, and then if you do like 1 transfer and another transfer, it's still 2, right? But if you do an egg retrieval and a transfer, it's 1. It counts as 1 because that's like a complete IVF, cycle through and through. So you could bank embryos through my insurance, and they would still pay for the egg retrievals, but it's kind of up to you how you want to do it. So you see these plans are very different, and this is just a very small part of the plans, obviously. I, of course, we can't do fresh transfers. So that's what they're saying that they're covering with this insurance when they say like an egg retrieval and a transfer count as 1. That's only with a fresh transfer, not with a frozen embryo transfer, and they do not cover freezing the embryos. And so therefore, if we can't do it the way that it's set up, even though it's medically necessary for me, they still won't cover it. We tried. It was a mess, which, sometimes you try and you could do everything that you think is possible and it could still not work out. The insurance companies, they cover what they want to cover, whether or not it's right or wrong. That's just how it is, unfortunately, in the United States where I am with insurance. So luckily, we already have embryos banked. So we have embryos on ice right now. So our plan is to transfer, hopefully get another live birth. And if not, then we'll have to do another egg retrieval. It'll be, the next year anyways, before we'll run out of embryos. So, it's a little clue of how many we have. But yeah, we will transfer our remaining embryos, and if we run out, we'll do another egg retrieval, and then we'll freeze them, whatever we get, and that'll be the last one actually for us. That's the plan that we have. And then what we have is what we have, and we're happy with that. We already have a beautiful baby, beautiful son, and I'm very blessed for that. I can't complain. Yeah, I'm just super happy. And if we never have another baby, like, that's okay. But I do want more. I wish I could have so many more. God, I wish things were different and we could just have sex and have babies. That would be amazing. Like, I would have so many more babies, but that's life. I feel like I've been saying that a lot in this episode. That's life. But it's true. There's just things that are out of your control, and you have to accept them and move on. And that's what we do. And we're thankful for what we have always. So, yeah, call your insurance company. And even as things come up, as you talk to your IVF clinic, I would always call my insurance company. I would call all the time. I had this one girl that I was talking to at my IVF clinic. I'm pretty sociable, so I usually talk to people in the waiting room. And she was like, "Oh, I feel so bad because, I feel like I'm bothering the clinic, the IVF clinic." She was talking about asking them a lot of questions and stuff. And I'm like, I don't feel bad. We pay them a lot of money, a lot of money to help support us and guide us through this process. I literally ask them or talk to them every single day. And she was kind of shocked by that. Every single day, yeah, I need something I need a question answered. Anything that pops in my head, anything that I think of, I reach out, I ask, because that's their job, and they want to help you. They want to help you be successful. They want to educate you. And do they think I'm annoying? Probably. Do I care? No, not at all. I need this information to feel good and to feel like I am empowered and know how to move forward. And then I can talk to the insurance company and make sure I know exactly what's covered, exactly how much it's going to cost, at least like a little estimate. And so that we know what's going on and we're not hit with like a surprise bill that we can't afford. And then that's going to delay us even more, which that's, the opposite of what we want. I want a baby right now. I want to be pregnant right now. I wish I was already pregnant, but we have to wait. It's a process. It was a long process especially for us, because of endometriosis. So I have to be on Lupron for 2 months, and then I have to check to see if there's any imperfections in my uterus, and if there are, then I have to have a procedure to correct those imperfections, and then we can transfer. So it takes a long time. And then I had to wait a year because I ended up having to have a C-section with my first baby, which sucks. I mean, birth is never fun. It's never easy. But yeah, definitely not fun. Did not enjoy. It could have been worse. That's what I tell myself. Could have been worse. Everybody's happy. Everybody's healthy. We're good. We're moving on with our lives. I know. I keep saying that. Yet I keep bringing it up like it's a bad thing. And so, yeah. If you have any other questions about insurance, ask me, because I'm all for asking questions, like even stupid questions. I've asked so many stupid questions, and I do believe there are stupid questions, but you never know they're stupid until you ask. And then you're like, oh, that was kind of stupid. But now I know, and I'm less stupid because of it. Just kidding. Oh, yeah. So that's my son. He's crying. You can probably hear him. He's ready to get up. I slept for a little over an hour, so that's good. I'll take that for sure. All right, I'll see you guys. Bye.